What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks, powered by Living in Colorado, the Mile High Perspective on YouTube. My name is Charlie Sardelli, and as always, I am here with
Jameson Amaros,
Oscar Ibarra,
and we are still out here at the Rouge Wine and Bourbon Bistro off of Arapahoe Road here in Greenwood Village. They have been an amazing sponsor, and as you guys can see behind me, they've got awesome events. So this Friday, when this episode's airing, the 27th, if you guys come down here, you guys will be able to do a cigar and bourbon pairing, as well as mezcal. So just events like that all the time, really fun. Just stay tuned on the channel. We're going to post the Old Forester tasting that we went to on the channel, just so you can see kind of what the event's like.
It was really fun. If you don't know mezcal, it's very similar in a way to Scotch. Mm-hmm. So it has a smoky, peaty flavor almost that pairs well with a lot of cigars.
Oh man, if you get a good Maduro with a mezcal, oh boy.
I mean, I know you always say a good Maduro. That's the only way I go, man. I love me Maduros, man.
The chocolatey flavor of a Maduro with a mezcal.
You guys are now just making me want to go find a beach, bottle of mezcal, around a campfire, with a Maduro.
You don't know how upset I was when we went to Key West. I was walking around, and obviously Key West, close to Cuba, right? Cigars.
Yeah.
Found a nice little shop. I bought a cigar, and then I got to the one beach that's on Key West.
No
non-smoking. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
All right, we know how to get up there with our goals first. You're gonna have to settle for Aurora Reservoir and a Swisher Sweet. We gotta get some business done here.
I love it.
And some brown bag whiskey as well?
Well, we're at it.
Sometimes you just gotta enjoy it, right?
The Aurora Reservoir.
Oh, man. And guys, so on today's episode, as always, we don't just talk about real estate, we drink bourbon. But the topic for real estate for today's episode is kind of timely. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be talking all about green solutions for home, energy efficient homes, how they affect the market, how they affect your home, how they affect your pocket. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for the information on that, because a lot of savings and tax write-offs that.
And I'm going to play, like always, devil's advocate.
Yep, absolutely.
If you guys have ever watched Fern Gully, he's going to be the slime.
I mean, literally devil's advocate with Al Pacino. I don't even know Fern Gully, and I have kids. So
you gotta go watch Fern. I know you haven't seen it.
No, you do it to me all the time.
Unbelievable.
I'm not a movie person, man.
Whatever, bro. Fern Gully's a classic.
Before we get into today's episode, there's something that I wanted to show off and I wanted to talk about that is severely close to my heart. As you guys can see, I'm wearing a Never Forget shirt. So back in May, the city of Charlotte, North Carolina experienced a horrific shooting where there were some police officers and federal agents involved that lost their life in the line of duty serving. And my best friend from high school, his name is Joshua Iyer. He was the police officer from Charlotte Mech PD that ran in to cover another officer, and unfortunately, he passed in the middle of all of it. But the reason I bring it up is because we found an amazing company, and I just feel like it fits so well with us, and I had to share it. So there's a company called Service Through Spirits, and basically what they do is they reach out to families of first responders who have had bad accidents and or lost their life in the line of service. And what they do, and I'm going to see if I can zoom in for you guys here, so please check out the video if you can see it, but they personalize each and every bottle for the member that passed, and you can make the bottle however you want. But the most amazing part about this is every single cent from the sale of these bottles goes back to the families of the officers and the service members who passed. And just a little bit about this bottle, because it's obviously we drink bourbon all the time, and one thing I did, I was like, did they honor my boy with the
with
the
good
juice?
Bourbon?
Right?
Yeah. Is the juice as good as it looks?
So this is actually bottled in California by a company called Liberty Call Distilling, and it's a 96 proof, so 48%. And basically what they say is that this is rested in after 2 years, they take it out and rest it in an additional barrel with Chilean Amburana oak for a unique taste. Now
South American flavor.
Right?
Chilean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, when I got I didn't know until I got the bottle. And then I read it and I was like, all right, this is awesome.
Did you taste it?
No. So that's actually
that's the cool part of this.
Yeah. So my plan for this bottle is I'm going to wait until his son turns 21.
Oh.
And that's when I'm going to crack the bottle and share
How old
the
is your
first
son?
sip. He just turned 3.
Oh, shoot.
Yep.
Wow.
And so it's going to be a big moment. But guys, please check them out. And it's not just Josh. There's unfortunately a bunch of service members on there, but any of those bottles that you purchase will go directly back to the family. So thank
It's
you
also
guys
kind of
for-
cool because if I'm doing the math correctly, when his son turns 21, that will essentially be a aged 21-year-old bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So instead of having like a golden birthday, he's gonna have a golden birthday. Is
Yeah.
his birthday on the 21st?
No, that would be awesome.
You
That would be
would then
awesome.
go to Vegas and then crack that bottle and then
So
put everything on Black 21.
what I'm going to do just for today's episode, as Josh is going to be here with us, so I'm just going to leave the bottle right here next to me on the table throughout the episode. And as you guys know, we all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for JC Ortega. And normally we have our glass up front for him, and we're working on getting another custom glass for him so we can have it present here during every episode. But on that note, bringing it back to some lightheartedness.
Well, before, thank you to all the service
Yes, absolutely.
men and women out there.
Especially because
Thank you.
I feel like in the past decade it's
It's
gotten
been hard for them.
It's been really hard.
And I
It's
have
been
a lot
really
of friends and family that are
Yep.
Yeah.
law enforcement.
And
There's
it's-
some firefighters, but I think law enforcement has really taken a hit.
Yeah,
hard.
absolutely. Well, like I said
Anyway.
earlier, as you guys know, we don't just do real estate; we drink bourbon on the show. And one reason that we were so excited partnering with the Rouge was because Chris Collins, the head chef and the overall manager for the Rouge, has access to literal thousands of bottles of bourbon. And one thing that's really cool about the Rouge, if you guys watched our first episode back, you'll know Chris has been drinking bourbon and tasting bourbon for over 15 years. And what Chris does is he actually goes out and he talks with companies to actually bring in a specific barrel for the Rouge. So this bottle that we're drinking right now is an Old Forester single barrel. And what's really cool about the single barrels from Old Forester, and I'll see again if I can throw this up, is it actually shows, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but it shows the house, what rick house it was in, and then the floor that it was on. So you can actually know directly where that barrel came from, how long it was sitting. So Chris specifically went and handpicked out of 4 different spirits. Old Forester came in and sat with him, and they're all single barrels. So Chris went through and specifically handpicked this one, and I'm not going to give you guys the notes because I'm interested to see what you think. But he picked this one specifically because he believed that it went so well with the dishes that they serve here. And if you guys haven't been to the Rouge, guys, the food here is phenomenal. It's as you can tell. I mean, it's got that high-end feel, right? You can come here and have a charcuterie board. You
It's
can come
the
here and
Roaring
have some steak.
20s.
Right,
In
and that's
person,
what I was going to
like
say.
embodied,
It's
you know what
not.
I mean?
It's not high end. Like, don't come in unless you're driving a Ferrari. It's that 20s feel.
Yes.
You know, where people care to dress up to go out.
Well, people
And
like
that's
to it was the Roaring 20s for a reason, right?
the Great Gatsby
Just
era, right?
came
Is
out
that
of
that
World
same
War
era?
One. We were as prosperous as we ever been
Industrial
in regards
age.
to inflation, all that kind of stuff. And people wanted to go out and have fun, enjoy,
And look
that
good.
was the first kind of time period. Not to get all historical on you guys, but it was the first time period where people started to really express themselves. You know what I mean? And I think it's cool because we're doing this via bourbon. The whole idea is to express bourbon in different ways with the different food plates and the different events that they host and the drag shows. Like, it's just that really cool atmosphere that you get anytime you walk in here. And I go a lot of times to bars and talk to bartenders and managers because I grew up in the service industry as well. And there's so many times, like, I'll go to a bar and it's just not a fun experience because it's very robotic, right? It's very predictable. It's like, I want an old fashioned. Awesome. Here's your Sonic Ice Cube old fashioned
Let me
with
put
like
1,800
an
ice cubes in
entire
this
with an
old-fashioned.
entire slice of oranges dumped in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
You
it
guys-
doesn't have that Cheney feeling.
Right.
No.
You guys come here, and it's an actual personal relationship with the entire staff, and they are there really to kind of guide you on a journey versus just being here to eat food.
I mean,
So-
that's
Yeah,
how
and-
we got here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I accidentally came in one day. I helped another agent close a deal, and he wanted to buy me a bourbon, and we actually went to some other place that was shut down. And we're like, hey, this is right down the street. We sat in, and I started chatting it up with the bartender. And, you know, Chris came in, and then the rest is history. But through this process, I started talking to one of the other bartenders, the one that was here for the event.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
their staff.
Yeah,
Jameson's
awesome.
not lying. They are very hospitable,
Knowledgeable.
but into like, hey, let me teach you, let me welcome you in, and this is what we do here. And they take it. I don't want to say they take it serious because like, oh, we do our job and get out of here. It's no, they really, hey, come in, let me educate you, have a drink, and they'll tell you why they use the cherries they use. Because I'm a Luxardo cherry, now I'm an Amaro cherry guy because they told me how and why, and it does taste different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and on that note, coming down to the taste, that, like I said, Chris specifically chose this bottle, and this bottle is, again, Old Forester single barrel, and this is the Pindustry and Rouge bottle. So you can only get this bourbon here at the Rouge. And this bottle is, again...
This barrel picked.
Yes, hand-selected barrel picked. But 100 proof, and I'm interested to see what you guys, after he told me the notes.
I'm interested. I bought one of the bottles on the event, so I actually... You could try
Oscar
it here
cheated.
or my house because I bought one.
Oscar cheated a little bit.
I cheated a little bit, so I kind of want to know what J-Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Having
some
some
technical
technical errors
difficulties.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. We're back. But as we were saying, Oscar has tasted this one before he did buy a bottle from that event.
Yeah.
So I am interested to see kind of your take on it because you weren't there for the
I was
tasting.
not, no.
So this will be smack dab brand new for Jameson. And I don't think I tried this one.
Oh, I tried them all.
Yeah, I don't think I tried this one. So I'm
I
ready
had
for
to
it.
relax for a little bit, have a water, and hang out.
Yeah.
And then go home. It was a good event.
It's a good time. It's a good
It
time.
was a really good time. What was her name? She was awesome.
Melissa.
She was super
Melissa.
awesome. Shout out to Melissa
Yes.
with Old Forester. She was their taster.
Yeah, I'm excited
Master
for it.
taster.
I'm excited.
Well,
Master
let's go
taster.
ahead and get the noses in, gentlemen.
Ooh, and I don't have a cold this week.
There you go. Cheers.
All right.
Hey, Charlie.
What's up?
Whoa. I haven't even had any. It's 100 proof. I see you're wearing some cool socks.
Oh yeah. So speaking of, while we were at the event, oh god, this is gonna be fun if you're on video.
Old Forester
Old
socks.
Forester socks, right here, for your viewing pleasures. Oscar, am I right? Did you get a pair too?
Yeah. I think I accidentally wore mine as well.
Wow. Nobody decided to get me a pair. It's
I
really,
have
We have a
a
pair
pair
in
in
the
the car for you. Don't you worry about that, baby bird. I got you fed.
Yes, sir.
I wore them just because,
Yep.
and then Charlie, it's like I wore mine. I was like, I wore mine. I forgot to. They're in the car. If we, yeah, I mean,
You know, if you want to take a break, do another.
You
do
know.
another beep.
we could put them on.
Oh man, but no. So, just the nose on it. I will say we have had a couple above 100. This one's hot.
Yeah.
on the nose.
Really? Oh, I'm getting
Yeah.
opposite, dude.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it's-
ethanol, but I'm getting a ton of just apricot,
Okay.
a little bit of caramel,
See,
apple,
Okay, hold on.
like apple pie almost.
She said, "Smell it with your mouth open."
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah, I honestly don't think this
Burns
is that hot.
dissipating a little bit, but no, it's sweet.
It is very sweet, but it's like a fruity sweet.
Yes.
It is.
Like a dried fruit,
Yeah,
kind
like
of
a peach, almost
yeah.
like a peach ring. Not a lot of. It's subtle. It's almost like a subtle oak.
Yeah, but not a lot.
No.
I think that, like,
It's gonna be interesting.
apple,
Kind of
like a caramel apple, but with a little bit of cinnamon.
I'm getting very, very caramel apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The caramel part of
Yes.
you could have caramel, but until you have it with the caramel apple, it's a caramel apple caramel.
Correct.
If that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, because the
without
two
biting
flavors-
into the
yeah.
apple, just have
Right.
the caramel. That's kind of what it is, right?
No, it's yeah.
And I mean,
A dafty apple.
yes,
just the color on it in general.
yeah.
This is that deep amber color. You could tell that it's a little bit older aged. And remember, Chris did say that he does like the higher proofs and the longer age.
I think
bourbon.
that's where we hit it off when we were talking and this and that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get the first sip burn out of the way here. Okay.
it's super smooth,
That's the first thing that I was gonna say. It's almost silky.
watery. Kind of not watery like in it's watered down. It's kind of like so smooth. You don't get hit in your face with
Yeah.
everything at once.
And I mean, honestly, the burn is not.
That is so fucking good.
Now you know what you know why. I told you. I
So
cracked it open at my house.
I mean,
There's way more spice forward than I thought.
it's
they would
spice forward, but that aftertaste, the burn lingers. But I'm still getting that really nice subtle caramel or
Yep.
caramel, depending on where in the U.S. you are.
Pecan, pecan.
Pecan,
Well-
like apricot. I don't know. I'm just
And
like
it
dried
stays-
fruit. I'm just tasting
Yeah.
a lot
But
of
it
dried
coats
fruit.
and stays on your tongue.
Right.
Evenly.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't like hit you back here. I mean, obviously the burn does hit more in the back of the throat, but it kind
Yeah,
of
but-
coats your tongue, and the
definitely an
flavors
evolution.
stay, and you can still taste what you were smelling.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't surprise you. Like the
No.
nose matches the palate.
And it's so cool how it legitimately spice tip of the tongue. Then as the burn comes in, like Jameson said, on the back end of your tongue, like the back of my
That
palate.
sweetness just kind of
Yeah.
mellows it out.
But kind of lip your lips a bit. And it's kind of sweet still.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like a oh my god sweet artificially flavored. No, it's a natural sweet
Yeah.
of the alcohol.
It's not overdone. And guys,
Yeah,
again, I want to put this disclaimer out there for everybody who's listening and watching.
Drink
Watching it,
responsibly.
One, drink responsibly, but two, we already told Chris that if we are going to review bourbons, especially the ones that they serve, we're going to be honest about it. So please don't think that we're going to kind of give, any kind of leniency to it. This is a bourbon just like any of the other bourbons. It just so happens to be their single barrel. So
And it is.
And I'm glad he was very open to that because
Yes.
up front I told him, but we're going to be honest. And it's funny that you kept on bringing it home because I told him we were thinking about other distillers in town that have rick houses. How cool is that for a backdrop? But then we're in bed with these guys, and if their alcohol is not up to par, we're not going to give it a good review.
absolutely.
And he's handpicking these.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see if we drink one that he hands picked.
Yeah.
And then have a sit down with him. Like, okay, did you were you drunk when you bought this one? What's going on here?
So far, it's good. But again, we all know a testament
Is time.
Is time.
You know what's
how it
funny?
opens.
When I was talking to Melissa, her name was, right?
Yep.
She was telling me most of the mash bill is the same
Yeah.
across the board. It's just the finish,
Right.
the finishing process, but the mash bill is all the same.
Yep.
Yeah,
So they can
that
stay
sweetness
consistent.
lingers though.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Oh, yeah.
30, 45 seconds after, and it's still.
Oh yeah, it's there. It's almost like
Which-
almost like that aftertaste
It
of like
makes
chocolate,
sense,
like a
though.
dark chocolate.
It makes sense because when you're talking about drinking bourbon versus pairing bourbon with food, you want the taste to linger.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
So-
wine?
Yes, exactly. So it's because
Yeah.
a lot of people think, oh, what does it mean when you're pairing? Well, it just means that the tastes kind of line up. Well, no. What it means is there's a lingering flavor that is on your tongue that when you then take that bite of whatever that food is that they pair it with, it complements each other and it turns into this entire.
Yeah, most of the time it's the proteins right in the
Yes.
food, which is either dairy or any of the meats or anything like that. But yeah, it's I had
Yeah.
With
I
a-
had a
with a-
whole
with a-
tangent to go on that, but yes, the pairing
With
is
a bourbon glazed salmon, a smoked bourbon glazed salmon.
Oh man, like with some brown sugar. Oh, that would be
Use it
fire.
as binder, smoke it.
That,
what's with your
yeah.
also what's on your
just-
kick and smoking, man? I still haven't had you haven't brought anything for me to eat
I
that
know,
you've been
I know,
smoked.
I know. I just gotta have you guys over and we'll just do
yeah,
it there.
yeah, 100%.
Talk about all this smoking and
We'll do a podcast. We'll do a patio podcast.
I love it. I love it.
I'm
Yeah.
down
Just
for
around the
that.
fire pit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be
down
fun.
for that.
I have we could do one.
Yeah,
We'll
Switch
rotate
it
it.
up.
We'll rotate
I
it
like
up.
it.
Also, I think it's really funny. 68 episodes in, that is the very first time we have ever said disclaimer: drink responsibly.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
I thought it was already. I mean, it
we
was.
do.
yeah.
We do care about you guys.
We're,
but,
you're an
you know.
educated crew. You're an educated audience. I figured you would drink responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and before we move into the topic, one thing that I do want to say is some credence to Old Forester. As you guys know, they're one of the oldest distilleries in the country, and they were doing distilling before Prohibition. So with their single barrels across the board, that was the first. Their single barrel was the first option that they brought back to sale to market after Prohibition was done, and those barrels were specifically handpicked by the owner
Yep.
of Old Forester, and that's kind of why they stuck with their single barrels, and it is their premium.
Yeah.
They're the one that they showcase a lot.
They were allowed to use up what they had, and then that carried them into after Prohibition.
Yep, absolutely.
That was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
It
Well,
was, you gotta you have to come to these events.
Yes.
Even us that we have
Just the knowledge.
We're what 68 episodes in. We've had a lot of different bourbons, and we've done the history. But when you have an actual
Yes.
representative of the company, they just drop a little bit more knowledge, and
Absolutely.
it's super cool. I've always said if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Absolutely.
Bourbon, I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room. I'm always open to learn more, and that's a vast knowledge.
Ready for this one?
Let's do it.
And on that note, I learned a lot about green energy and housing and how you can benefit from it as a homeowner.
This is going to be an interesting one because I do drive one of the biggest SUVs on the market, and it has a big tank of gas and a big V8. Although it does have some efficiency technology
to it, yep.
that actually it's not as bad.
Yep.
So it's kind of like I like playing devil's advocate. So I am, especially on the cost approach to the sale approach on it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
And I
the
think
consumer
there's-
is going to say, but I could just do this, right?
Well, and I think personally there's two sides of green energy when you're talking about, especially residential homes, right? Because we're realtors. That's what we talk about all the time. I think there's the practical side, in which case it's the things that you can do, upgrade, add, remove from your home that will either save you money, will save you time, will save on your utility
both.
bills, etc. And then there's the side that you do it as kind of like a quote unquote feel good.
PETA?
For those that are listening and not watching, I just did air quotes. The feel good stuff.
Yeah.
So the first thing that comes to mind for me is something like solar energy.
That's
right?
I always ask
It's
that.
one of those things where that may not necessarily, aside from a tax credit here and there, won't save you a ton of money, but it's a feel good for the environment versus something like upgrading your insulation will actually like materialistically save you money. So I think that's kind of what we want to talk through today, because in my head, if I'm a buyer, there's buyers that want to look at, hey, this home by Lennar is LEED certified. What does that mean? We'll go over what LEED certified means.
Yep.
Hey, these appliances are Energy Star rated. What does that mean? Hey, I'm looking at doing this to my house, but is there a tax credit available? And then as a seller, hey, are there things that you can do to make your home more appealing as the market gets more competitive, right?
Or
And,
hey,
and speaking of Lennar, they most of their collections they add solar panels now.
Yep. Well, and again, we're gonna
Not
try
Elizabeth.
we're gonna try and go across the board
It's
here
Elizabeth.
and cover as much as we can. But the first thing that I want to talk about, and I think that this is, for me, the extremely important when it comes to how we can benefit. And obviously, we know that there has been a huge push over the last decade towards sustainable green energy solutions across the country. And regardless of how you feel about it politically or anything like that, countries across the world are doing these changes, and states are doing these changes, and we can benefit from it. So whether or not you have, you feel one way or another about the ideology around it, just understand that regardless of how you feel about it, if you act on it, you can save a lot of money. And what I want to start with is the IRS will actually give you up to a 30% tax credit when you file for green energy solutions. And when we say green energy solutions, immediately everybody goes right to solar panels, right?
Now do your homework on that.
I'll circle back down.
Not you.
Yes.
Out there.
Yeah, and we'll circle back around because I do want to touch on that. So when we talk about green energy solutions, yes, solar panels are involved, but it's even something like optimizing your electrical panel, changing out an electrical panel, changing out insulation in your home, or even getting an external battery pack that builds up over time so that you can use it if something goes wrong, so you're not pulling from the grid. What we're going to do, if you guys want to check out those percentages, and again, it is up to 30%. You're not guaranteed 30%. It is up to a possible 30%.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include, I went on energy.gov, and I found the list of all the inclusions and items that you can technically write off or put in a request to get up to that 30%. So I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the episode description, the video and the audio.
Yep.
So if you have any questions on that, please check that link out because it's a phenomenal resource.
And it gets a little specific, right?
It does. Mm-hmm.
Which I think is it's good that we're talking about it, because a lot of people will say, okay, I do want to do these type of things, but what does that actually mean? Mm-hmm. So just to give you guys two quick examples, the way that the energy.gov splits it up is it breaks it into the household types. So you're either going to be, below 80% of the area median income or above 80% of the area median income for your household. So if you're below it, the savings are going to depend on how much it's predicted to save energy. So, for example, if you have a home efficiency project with at least 35% predicted energy savings, if you're below 80% of the median income in the area, you get 80% of the project cost covered up to $8,000. If you're above that 80%, you get 50% of that project cost covered up to $4,000. Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty big. If you're looking at, maybe a smaller update, 20% predicted savings, now you're at 80% still up to $4,000, and then 50% if you're above that median area income up to $2,000 per project. So, I mean, that's a good
significant.
rebate. That's significant.
It's significant, and
You're
that's-
saving 35% and you're getting tax credit.
And again, visit the website. There's probably some glossy eyes out there
Yep.
through a lot of percentages, a lot of what's going to go on. But I think I noticed efficiency firsthand with when I moved.
Yep.
We kind of doubled in square footage. The house that I owned prior to was an older ranch bungalow built in the 60s. Not very energy efficient. I hadn't swapped out the furnace. The furnace wasn't energy efficient. And when we moved, I didn't even think about what the cost was going to be with utilities, right? And within the first year, the furnace went out in this house. And it's a newer home, but, furnaces typically will go for 20, 25 years or not. So shout out to CG Heating and Cooling, my buddy Chris. He came out, installed an energy efficient furnace. I have a Nest thermostat. With the Nest and that furnace, we ran AC all summer.
Yeah.
It's been 2 winters now. I am paying the same amount for double the square footage than I did at my old house.
Well, and I'm glad that you bring that up, because that's we were kind of debating on what we wanted to talk about for today's episode, and there's a dual kind of a connection between green solutions and green home solutions and smart devices
and energy
right,
efficiency.
and energy efficiency. So that's, Oscar, you touched perfectly on it, and this is where, again, guys, something as small as adding a Nest thermostat to your home can save you on utilities, but then also could be a write-off and could help you. And it's incredible that in the last 10 years, what we have been able to do with sensor upgrades and things like smart home devices, it's just plug and play at this point.
It is. And a big thing is, I mean, there's people like Jameson, love data, but that man will dig deep and deeper into the data and get it out. These devices do it for you.
Exactly.
I could have printed out Core Electric. That's what we have. It's co-op. And it's a little different because you have Excel Energy. It is what it is. Co-op is what we use, and it's kind of skewed a little bit, and it saves us money. But the way that I was getting my data and readings from my Nest thermostat, I was able to actually see real time for what we do at my house.
Oh, man.
And when we're not home, it senses we're not home because it's tied to our cell phones, and it goes into eco mode.
Well, and I'll tell you what,
Super cool.
My eye-opening moment was actually
We're not
when
sponsored by Nest either, by the way.
No. But hey, if you guys want to throw us the money,
I mean,
let us know.
throw me a bone. I love your product.
No, but in all reality, I actually learned this lesson first at Best Buy. When I worked at Best Buy, we sold
Both guys are techies over here.
the smart home solution, and this was one of my first months working there. And again, I love the tech and I love the integration, but I didn't like the smart home stuff. I grew up with Disney Channel, and there was that one smart home movie. Yeah,
it's called Smart Home.
Where it basically
with
took over.
the chick from Sons of Anarchy.
Yep,
the mom.
Yep. Yeah. And
What?
so like
She was the AI.
Peggy Bundy?
Yeah.
She was the AI for Smart Home.
I mean, come on, Peggy Bundy, not Sons of Anarchy.
You're right, Peggy Bundy. You're right.
No,
I
Sons
just-
of Anarchy is good.
I was
But
like-
no, so just
But that's it.
take a long story short, I had a service member that came in that just moved to the area, just bought a house, and he was looking for a thermostat, and I basically ended up selling him the Nest thermostat, and he was a little bit reluctant on it. He's like, I don't know. I was like, hey man, look, they're doing some amazing things with it,
Really
so
is.
we can actually get it out, get it installed for you correctly, all that kind of stuff. Fast forward a week later, he comes back into the store, and he's looking to buy another one for his parents. And what he said to me was, Charlie, I just thank you so much. We just purchased this house, and after we installed this Nest thermostat, it told me that we had an air leak. We had something going wrong. There wasn't enough pressure in one of the vents in one of our room, so we were actually spending way more money on electricity than we had to. Right there, I was in.
It has airwave, so it doesn't overcool or overheat.
Yep.
And it just kicks on just the blower. I mean, it does a whole lot. But at the end of the day, I like convenience. When we travel, I'm at the airport. I
turn
see
it on.
how cold or hot it is here in Denver because it's on eco, right?
Yeah.
It has a big gap there. If the house is like 75 because it's on eco mode and it doesn't kick in and cool off until it's over that, I'm at the airport and it's like 80 degrees outside or 90, kick on the AC. Nice and cool by the time I make it home. Super convenient, but convenience is one thing. It's it does. I want to say I would probably, you would think double the square footage, double the bill, right? If double the bill would have been what actually happened, I would have been spending an extra $1,200 probably a month or a year. Wow. $1,200 a year.
That's incredible. But and guys, that's just to the point where and when we say like green energy solutions are there and they're there to help you, and the IRS has done a wonderful thing by giving you those credits. And then also keep an eye out, because I know Colorado, we have green initiatives, and not only can you do federal tax, you can do state tax write-offs for green energy vehicles, solar panels, stuff like that. So take a look at that list that that link that we're going to post, and see what you might qualify for. But before we go into more like how it affects sellers and buyers across the board, one thing that I do want to mention. The biggest thing, and Oscar mentioned it earlier, I've said it a couple times, the biggest thing that people think about when they think green energy solutions is solar panels. We have an entire episode further back, I think it was like the first 15 episodes, on solar panels. Please go check that out. But I feel like I need to give this disclaimer because it's not known well enough. When you're looking to do solar with your house, please, please, please read through the contracts, because what a lot of people don't realize is when you install solar on your home and you take out that loan, a lot of the time it's putting a lien on your property. And if you do not have that lien, that cost paid off for your solar panels, when you go to sell your house, it can affect the sale of your home. It will show as a lien against your property, and it could paint a negative picture around it.
Not even another negative picture, but you can also shrink your buyer pool, right?
Right.
Because you have to qualify for that loan. And if you've got, especially now where interest rates are currently at, you've got a lot of people riding the lightning when it comes to their debt to income ratios, right?
And the bank's going to count that against
and
them.
once the bank sees that, hey, you know what, you also have to take up this $25,000 loan that's X amount of dollars per month over 15 years.
Even if it's $50
that puts you at or above your debt to income, you just went from qualifying for your dream home to not qualifying for your dream home. And as a seller, that means you just cut your buyer pool in half. And if you do that, we all know the less buyers looking at your house, the less you're going to sell your house for.
And you touched on something earlier. Jameson touched on the fact that it might just be the feel goods, right?
Correct.
Because also you got to look at the long term of investment cost, but savings as well. You might not see any savings for the first couple years at all.
I think
it might cost you a little bit
the
more.
break-even point, I think, was
It's
like
5 years,
5 to 10
5
years.
to 10 years. So if you're not planning to stay on this home for that long, but it's for the feel goods, absolutely, go for it. It doesn't
100%.
matter, right?
100%.
But you're doing the greenhouse or the environmental thing, right? So do a cost analysis on it and see if you're going down that route. But if it just feels good, do it. Just go for it.
A lot of people,
but just like Charlie said, read the fine print.
A lot of
There's
people
three different
automatically assume, hey, I'm gonna put solar panels on my house and I'm gonna get some of that cost covered,
and then I'm going to be able to write off
with
some
whatever.
of it.
And then once that's done, then I'm going to save money on my energy bill. Not saying that that's not the case, but you guys really have to do the math, because what people don't understand is whatever your electric bill was prior, let's say it's $98 a month, but then you put these solar panels on, and the terms of your lease on those solar panels is $98 a month. You are not saving any money, and you are potentially making it harder for you to eventually sell your house. Now, if you're doing it and say, hey, I want to help the environment.
Not to mention the maintenance,
you know what I mean?
too.
Yeah. If I'm just helping the environment, I feel good, I want to contribute to us going green as a country, to reduce your carbon footprint, by all means. But don't look at solar panels specifically as I'm going to save money, because more often than not, that's not the case.
And also, the other episode that we're talking about solar, Jameson did a lot of research on what you can and can't do with your terms on the solar panels. Because if you're leasing them, you're buying them, or you're pulling a loan on them, you still might not be able to collect or store the energy. You may or may not be able to sell the energy back to your local energy company. So just read the fine print.
Charlie, was it you and I talking about? No, I was. You know what? No. So this is something that's coming up. I was talking to a woman that runs a HVAC, electrical, plumbing, AC company, and we got into a conversation about that specific thing, where she's the same way. Like, they go out and they tell people, like, solar panels, run away, but there is some some legislation coming down the pipeline in Colorado specifically to subsidize and provide tax credits and allow battery packs on houses so that you can actually store the energy. Because right now,
I think that's fair.
you're just giving it back to the grid, but you're not producing enough to offset the cost. Versus if you can, for a portion of it, give back to the grid, but then you can save it for yourself. Now all of a sudden solar makes a ton of sense because I can now go off grid and I have my own supply. But there's a lot of electric companies and energy companies that are against that, because if I can just harness my power from the sun and then use it for my own use.
Looking at you, Excel.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
But
there's
there's legislation that's trying to work through, because really that is what would make solar a no-brainer. Because, okay, cool, now I can, I got my lease, but I don't have to pay Excel or Core or anybody else. I have my own energy.
Well, not even that. I mean, yes. And what about the states in California that get blackouts, or Texas? It gets so hot, the grid overloads. Now you don't have it. They're running generators.
Or it snows one time.
My buddy just moved back.
It snows. It just drops below 33 degrees and it rains.
So
sorry, Texas.
My buddy just moved back to Colorado from Houston, and he's like, where do I connect my generator to here? I said, we don't have that problem here, bro.
Yep.
No, you don't. You keep your generator for when you go camping, I guess.
Go sell it back in Texas.
But if you could get solar panels, something like that, I think it'd make a lot more sense over there.
Absolutely.
Hopefully their legislators doing the same thing.
And again, guys, this is where, exactly to your point, Oscar. If you're living in Seattle, don't think about solar options.
Collect rainwater.
Get a turbine.
Yeah.
Hydro
Get a water
turbines. Yeah.
Right. But with that said, there's options across the board. And now let's kind of touch into, because obviously you guys come here for real estate knowledge and how to make more and spend less when you buy and sell homes. So one stat that I really liked that I saw, and this comes directly from.
Are you the new stats guy?
I'm not.
Did I get superseded?
You did no, but
you can't be replaced. I mean, we have a system here, Charlie.
Yeah,
I
I'm
am putting my tablet away.
Stay in your lane, Charlie.
I'm sorry. But it was honestly, I love it because
I hope it's the same stat that I found.
with the correlation of, we say home prices go up, right? And then we also say, as a seller, you have a commodity right now, inventory, right? So this came directly from the National Association of Realtors, and it said that as of right now, energy efficient homes typically sell for 3 to 5% higher than traditional homes as they appeal to eco-conscious buyers and reduce long-term costs. So what I want to say to that, guys, and we talk about this all the time, right? Unfortunately, the real estate market is an emotionally driven market, as much as we don't want it to be. But let's talk about sales, okay? Let's talk about the idea of sales. If you live in a neighborhood where all of the homes are pretty much copy-paste, same house, but you have put the money in and gotten the tax credits to upgrade your home for energy efficiency, and you can list that home and provide details that says, hey, we save on average X amount of money because we've upgraded these energy efficiencies across the house, and that house two houses down, they're spending an extra $2,000 because they have not made those upgrades. Who do you think the buyer is going to favor, especially if it's the same house, right? You're providing, it's a way to separate yourself and kind of provide a little bit more value to the buyer, but then also benefit from it at the same time.
So, rude. So I think there's two different categories that I want you guys to focus on, right? And we're going to talk from the sell side first.
Okay.
How do I sell my house faster? And do green homes sell faster, and do they sell for more? So there's two different ways that you can market a green energy efficient home. One is as eco-friendly, which doesn't really have a what I want to say, like a specific certification process. It's just like, I've got double pane windows and I've got upgraded insulation.
Very subjective.
Yeah, it's very subjective. But if they're marketed as eco-friendly, they tend to sell 9 days faster on average. Okay. Now, if they have an Energy Star rating, that is a completely different thing. They sell on average 89 days faster.
That's amazing.
To similar aged homes
89 days
that
faster.
are not Energy Star rated. So why? Right? Two reasons. Strong buyer demand, right? People want energy efficient homes and sustainable features. Number two, it relies on effective marketing by realtors. Your realtor needs to know if your home is LEED certified, Energy Star certified, or if there's any other things in that house that lead it to be eco-friendly. If it's marketed effectively, you're going to sell the home faster.
Okay, so
So we
Jameson-
need to find out what makes it.
I was going to say, Jameson. So go
Lead
into
So-
what is
and
lead?
5.
Yeah.
So
And
yes.
those agents need to call my boy Charlie over here. 98 days. Where are we at,
Gotcha.
Charlie? On average? Where are we at, you and I?
7 days. Let's go, baby.
What are you guys on 7? What?
Every house that I've done help
Oh, nice.
with marketing, 7 days on market. Let's go.
Let's
yeah,
go.
you didn't help me on my 4400 Myers Court.
I'm
just
sorry.
saying.
I'm just
But
saying.
you're going to help me on the next one.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, so
stay tuned for another home
Yes.
homes. It's coming.
so homes
I want to
rated
direct.
Energy Star or LEED certified, which is what Charlie just discussed, 2 to 8% more, which on average, according to 2023, was $17,000 more.
Wow.
Okay. Again, higher buyer demand, lower energy cost, added curb appeal, drought resistant landscaping. It's big in Colorado, et cetera. Right. So, what does LEED certified even mean? So, the major features are a sustainable location or site, reuse of wastewater or conserving water energy, green techniques to conserve energy, reuse of waste materials, energy efficient appliances, utilities, and maintaining indoor air quality. And when you go into LEED certification, and you'll see a lot of this, guys, if you're looking at like new construction, that's where you're going to see a ton of it, because the new construction is all about energy efficiency. You can tell if you're in an energy efficient home, if you open the front door and the back door, and then you close the back door, see what happens to your front door. If
Yeah.
it slams shut like the poltergeist, you have a very energy efficient
Yeah, you're insulated.
right? You're insulated.
That happens in my garage.
Yeah, but there's
the
there's four LEED certification levels.
Okay.
So when you're looking at, debating all these new construction communities and, what's going to make the most sense for me, you've got certified, silver, gold, and platinum, and it's all based off of a point system based on their impact on the environment and how efficient they are. So that being said, a general rule of thumb is
And this is lead.
this is LEED certified.
Okay.
The farther you go up in the LEED certification, the more energy efficient your home's going to be. Therefore, your utilities are going to get less and less and less as you go up. Now, you'll see a premium on those homes, right? Because they're obviously going to charge more. But that's the general rule of thumb. If you go from, and again, I'll just highlight this, certified, silver, gold, and then platinum based on a point system of their energy efficiency and sustainability, you are going to save more on your utilities. More often than not, you're also going to spend a little bit more on the house.
So for my younger millennials and my Gen Zers out there that are in the market, basically what Jameson is saying is this is the equivalent of having a verified TikTok or Instagram account, that little blue check mark next to your name. And so if they are LEED or Energy Star certified, then that just puts them a level above. You know that it's been vetted. You know that it's actually representative of what it says it is, which is eco-friendly. So if you're a buyer and you see either one of those two things, or if you're about to sell your house, definitely look into things that you can do to upgrade it. Because, guys, this could be something as simple as changing out some part of your HVAC system or even a filter.
Right.
Even just upgrading an air filter.
No, your air filter really does make a big difference.
Yes, will lead you into some of these certifications.
Yes.
So it could be something that small that costs $25 that can net you. What'd you say? It's
$17,000.
Yeah, I mean it's part of their the 5-star energy because when I think 5-star, my dad was a contractor. I go with the construction of the home.
Yep.
Obviously, you have insulation, windows, air ceilings, HVAC system, but thermostats in there.
Yep.
Thermostats is one of the checklists. It's not. How much does a Nest cost these days? It's not very.
$200?
Yeah.
Yeah, $200, and it's going to save you at least that in the following 3 months.
Well, Oscar, when you're walking a buyer through a home, what are the major like repair items that you see that cost the most for new buyers?
The big ticket items are usually the roof,
Okay.
a water heater, furnace. We got to check out that plumbing, electrical.
Oh wait, so what you're saying is 2 out of the 4 majors
100%.
directly back in
Well,
eco?
AC.
Yes,
And that's
well
the-
HVAC, right?
HVAC,
Furnace,
right?
HVAC.
And that's the point. The more
the
energy
big ticket
efficient
item
your
these
home
days,
is,
even more so.
the more energy efficient your home is, right? Then the less amount of work those major systems have to do, and the less amount of work they have to do, the longer they're going to last, right? There's a reason that every country song sings about their Ford F-150 that they've had since 1927 that runs great, because they're never in traffic, right? That energy's set at 60, or the engine's set at 65. They cruise. The RPMs aren't going up and down. You're not stopping, starting, etc. Versus I can have a brand new Mercedes, but I live in New York City and I'm driving around. That car's going to last 2 years before I need repairs because it's going up and down, and you're revving and you're stopping and you're starting and you're using those major components. The house is the exact same thing. If I can set my house at 72 and my AC barely kicks it on to keep it at 72, that $9,000 piece of equipment is going to last me a lot longer than if it has to constantly kick on and kick off, and the compressor it uses the Freon.
Hold on,
furnace.
Hold on. Okay, I still rent. They're homeowners, but if you are renting, okay, this is something that I learned late in my adult life and my renting life. But to what Jameson just said about the AC, I used to be the one where I was like, oh no, turn it off when you're not using it, right? Guys, leave it on. Set a temperature and leave it on, because it's not regulating. You're not letting it go all the way back down to 50 and then kicking on and running at its hardest to get you back up to that 70. So honestly, over the last 2 years I've been doing it now, I've saved money on my energy bill because I don't fluctuate anymore. I just leave it and let it run.
It's physics.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a static energy, or at a stop to go, and then those Nest furnace, the thermostats,
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell you, well, you just let it drop down to, or go up to 72. It's
Yep.
going to take 3 hours to get you back to this, instead of just it's kicking off and on, and then it's maintaining.
Yep.
Not to use a Best Buy reference, but I used to talk about this all the time with people that came in to buy laptops, right? And they would want to go cheap. And they would get what we would call an i3 processor, which is just your basic processor. But then they would tell me what they're trying to run on their laptop. And I'm going, and they go, well, will it work? Yes, but. And they go, I don't care about but. I just want to know if it works. I don't want to spend the money.
Trying to get 120 frames, you're getting 60 frames, you're getting
Right.
30.
But if you have a processor that's not capable of running what you're running, what's going to happen? It's going to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it is what it is. Brakes on a car, anything that has usage over life, you want it to be efficient because it elongates how long it can use that type of thing.
I'm shaking my head because you no longer work for Best Buy. God damn it! You upsold me on my fucking excuse my language, my laptop.
Yeah, and you're going to have that laptop for the next 10 years.
Probably.
You're never going to have to buy another laptop.
Well,
You know
all
what I'm
right.
saying?
So,
Very true though. Very true statements.
We kind of touched on how it can benefit sellers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to save more money. You're going to be more marketable. You're going to actually sell for a higher percentage, and you're going to sell faster.
Yes.
With eco-friendly solutions.
Yep.
So, how does obviously if all of those things are happening for the seller, then how the hell do eco-friendly solutions benefit a buyer?
Well, and then let me touch on that before we go forward. I mean, I know we're real estate agents and we're talking about the sale or resale of a home, but even current homeowners, it's gonna give you a savings on your monthly utilities now, right? Let's not just focus on how much you could buy or how much you could sell. Your current home, if you're a homeowner, you potentially save thousands of dollars a year.
Absolutely.
So as a seller, right? Let me give 3 more stats because you took over my title.
Sorry.
Okay.
Now
If
you're
I'm a
gonna
seller
go
and
stat crazy
and I'm
things.
marketing my house, here's the latest statistics around what buyers are looking for in energy efficient homes. 73% of prospective home buyers want an Energy Star certified house. 63% of realtors say eco-friendly features help homes sell faster. And millennials, nearly 60%, 60%, which, by the way, millennials, largest home buying group that we've seen ever,
Yep.
60% are willing to pay more for sustainable housing, according to Freddie Mac. So that is an impartial government. Hey, we provide loans.
And
that's
us
it. So
elder millennials, we just want to save money a month.
Yep.
Well, and then as a buyer, right? So when you're looking, this is something that's extremely important. And honestly, you can capitalize on a seller having a terrible agent. So if you start talking and your agent starts talking to the other one, and then you go look at the house, you do a showing, but your buyer's agent knows what to look for, a Nest thermostat, a certain Energy Star rating on a furnace, but that's not listed, you can save money as a buyer because now you're not getting charged for that. So just by going over that list that we're going to post, you can go in and your real estate agent can go in and take a look and go, oh wow, this home it's not marketed as eco-friendly, but it checks all these boxes. So you can actually get a better bang for your buck as a buyer.
A lot of agents, I'm guilty. I don't really look into a lot of this stuff. I'm more number driven and then area and stuff like that because a lot of agents don't add that, and it's hard to compare pricing if we don't know if that other house has sold for more or not. So it's good to know, energy efficiency, but a little tidbit. You're welcome, for y'all and all the other agents out there, is there is a section within the contract to buy and sell real estate for due diligence documents. That area is typically used for anything that's pertinent to sale of the home, which are usually permits, anything, claims and insurance. You can ask for utility bills. Ask for
Sure.
the last 3 months of utility bills, and you could start your energy efficient there. Oh, do you have a Nest? Do you have, and then when you do buy the home, if you do install a Nest, then you have something to base it off of the old owner to see how much your Nest or whatever things you either put in or the house has to compare to another home with that data.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah,
I think that is
absolutely.
something that
That
a
was-
lot
yes.
of buyers and buyers agents don't think about asking for.
Yep.
And we talk about it all the time because we say, okay, you're approved for a loan and here's your monthly payment that you're comfortable with. We say all the time, like, yeah, that's the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance that you're comfortable with. But remember, you still have to live life. And a large percentage of home expense is utilities. So as a buyer, does it make sense to maybe get financed for a little bit more and be a little bit higher than your budget on your PITI, but knowing that you're moving into an Energy Star or LEED certified home, and you can see, okay, I'm going to cut my utility bills down by $250 a month, but I'm going to maybe be over $200 a month on what my mortgage payment is, but that gets you an extra bedroom. It gets you, a basement instead of a crawl space. It gets you a dedicated office versus nothing. Like, you can now make those decisions a lot better by going, okay, let me see the utility bills. All right, I know that this house is going to cost me $250 less because it's LEED certified, Energy Star certified, whatever it is. So I can go up in my budget monthly to buy more house because I know I'm going to offset that cost by lowering my utilities. So
And
that's a great point, Oscar.
Agents out
Fantastic.
there, you're like, oh man, I'm going to ask for this. Ask for it, but also send in the email. Look, this is not a negotiating tactic. We would like to have this data
Absolutely.
for
Especially now.
conversations with my buyer for financing moving forward. Because if I see, oh man, now I got to get Mr. Seller, they want this, and the seller's going to freak out. Why do they want my information? Look, we'll black out your account number. They just want to know the data, how much it's going to cost to,
Right.
it might be a benefit for you because if they see that they're spending $200 in their current home apartment or whatever, and they see your 3 months of bills and it's actually $100 less and you're the same size family, guess what? They're going to be all in.
Yep.
Your house is now more appealing.
On your point, on that point, we always, unfortunately, in real estate has become.
I am a mentor, by the way, for agents that are out there.
Real estate has become, and it's often viewed as buyer versus seller, right? And that's not how you get the best deals for both parties. It will never be, because if one person's trying to get something over the other, it's not going to work.
It becomes a power struggle, and then ego comes into play.
Exactly. Now, let me go ahead and pose an example, okay, of this. Let's say you are a buyer, and you go to a home, and you get your inspection, you're under contract, you get the inspection done, and the inspection comes back, and it goes, hey, man, this HVAC system is, it's getting there. It's 22 years, 23 years. I don't know about it, right? But hey, guess what? As a buyer, you know that the seller of that house has a significant tax write-off up to 30% if they upgrade that HVAC system to be eco-friendly. Guess what? Now you can go with your agent and propose to that seller, hey guys, look, here's what we'll say. We would love for you to replace this HVAC system, but we want to lead towards eco-friendly. And what we'd love to recommend is that we go towards a more eco-friendly because you can get a percentage off or some tax breaks for doing this. And guess what? As a buyer, seller just got to save some money or write some more stuff off, and you just got an eco-friendly solution for your home. So that's why I say it's just, as we always say, knowledge is power, right? And either as a seller or as a buyer, eco-friendly solutions can benefit you in the process, whether you're selling, buying a house, knowing and being up to date on what's available and what's out there. Something, again, as small as a Nest thermostat or even a air filter can help you in negotiations, can help you in these situations where you may be able to actually even out. The seller wins and the buyer wins for the longevity.
And if you want to play the game, an HVAC system is a big ticket item of the home. And whether it's one buyer or the next buyer, if you send an HVAC tech or an inspector out to a place to inspect a furnace and there might be some issues with it, then you ask for what's called the certification of the unit. Most HVAC techs will not certify a unit if it's up in the 20s.
Yep.
If it has less than a 5-year life expectancy, they will not certify it.
And what basically, just to simplify what Oscar's saying, is you have a specialist come out and look at it and say, yes, this is good, no, this is not good. And then once that specialist passes that, if you're a buyer, you can bring that to the table as a negotiating point. If you're a seller, you can bring that to the table as a negotiating point.
I've done both on both
Yep.
sides.
But I
Absolutely.
love the fact that the win-win is the best way, right?
Yeah.
I love the win-win, and maybe talk to the sellers.
Yep.
I mean, I've always been on the buy side. I'm on the
Well, it's called
on the
it's
south
called a
side.
negotiation, right? Not a genocide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the 40th. On 40th,
Yeah.
I'm on the south side of the furnace, and I brought that up. And
On the 40th?
on 40, one of
One
the
of the
properties
listings?
that he marketed
I was
for
like,
me.
there's only 31 days maximum in a month, Oscar.
Stats guy.
This is 100 proof bourbon.
Anyway, we're talking about the HVAC and machine and bat an eye.
Yeah.
But now coming back and saying, look, there might be some write-offs if it's energy efficient. Let's move forward. It's a win for her either way.
Exactly.
And that's conversations you have after the fact. Calm them down. Let's make this win. The buyer wins. You win. You make some of that money back when you do your taxes and talk to your accountant CPA first.
Yes.
First and foremost, we're not CPAs, but there is an incentive to make some of that money back.
We are
Absolutely.
HBICs, however.
Yeah.
Head bitches in charge.
Oh, I thought
was
we were going to say
waiting for it.
DILFs. No.
We are.
HBIC DILFs? I'm not
Dinks.
a DILF.
We kind of lost
I'm a
that. I mean, last location we were talking about, what was it?
DILFs and Dinks, baby.
Dilfs and Dinks,
Dilfs
baby.
and Dinks.
We're going to do it. Maybe that'll be the patio episode.
That could be the patio
Dilfs
episode.
and
We just
dinks.
have two different
Yep.
versions. We have
Yep.
this episode, which is like, we'll give you guys actually good, actionable information that will save you money. And then, by the way, if you're like hammered and you just want to have a good time, we'll be on the patio for Dilfs and Dinks. I
And
like
that's
it.
just
I
our
love it.
personal
I like it.
opinion on
Was-
everything.
I like it.
So before
Yeah,
we move,
that's the no filter podcast.
before
Oh,
we
if you
move
think
into
this
the-
is unfiltered,
yeah.
that's straight from the source.
Before we move into the one rock takeaway for today's episode, is there anything else that you guys wanted to go over?
No, I think the biggest. No, actually, no.
Wait,
no, 'cause
I
that'll be
might.
my one rock takeaway. Yeah.
Where are we?
I gotta get a tablet. You guys are over here tableting it up.
It's just so much.
So
easier.
I
I
did
know.
want to I want to touch on a couple other things that
Okay.
are very simple that have actually helped me.
Do it. Give it to me.
Light bulbs, smart light bulbs, because they tie into the same. I have two smart devices at home. One's Google based, the other one's Alexa based, and the Nest kind of touches into both.
I only laugh because if I was working at Best Buy and you came in and said that to me, I'd be like, oh god, this is gonna be an hour-long conversation.
Well, but they do the exact same thing, and,
Yes.
and they both
Yes.
talk to each other, right?
Absolutely.
Alexa
Sorry,
doesn't like Google.
you
Google
need
doesn't like
help unloading a pallet in the warehouse. I'll be right there.
I gotta go install the roll in the bathroom.
I just had a pallet of TVs.
I gotta go
But-
mow the bathroom floor.
Smart lights.
Yes.
LED lights obviously last longer. They're brighter, less. They're more.
They also sell houses. faster.
energy efficient,
Yes.
right? Just
Make houses look a lot better for marketing. Just to let you know.
daylight. The lumens, all that stuff, right? But it's gonna be cost effective year long. But again, when I'm not home, my smart devices detect that both cell phones that are linked to those both devices are both not home. It asks, do you want to lock the front door? Do you want to turn off the lights? And my thermostat goes into eco. So right there, if anything, I'm saving minimally over $1,500 a year on that.
Yep.
And I spent nothing because I bought the house with them already, except for the light bulbs.
And that's and on that note too, guys. Like I said at the beginning, when I said that, this isn't like it was 15, 20 years ago when if you wanted to do an eco solution, you had to have somebody come out to the house, certify it, go through, and actually like look at things. These are plug and play solutions. Something as simple as going to the store and buying a energy rated washer and dryer, right there, boom, you just entered yourself into level 1 of eco-friendly. Like, and that's the thing is it's built into our society now. So capitalize on it. It's not
And
as
it's
hard as
super
it used
cool.
to be.
Smart light bulbs, they don't have to just be one color now.
So
Oh,
great
There's apps you
segue.
can make Christmas lights. You can do a bunch of them with it.
Great segue.
Super
And
fun.
I think this benefits both buyers and sellers. And this will be the last thing I talk about
Use
before we go
Oscar.
to one rock takeaway, right? So a lot of people look at dollar signs. So let's say I'm a buyer and I'm looking at a house, and maybe the appliances are like meh, they're a little bit older, right? And I go, man, I don't want to spend money on appliances. Well, my question to my buyer would be like, hey, do you know that purchases of Energy Star efficient appliances, which is basically every new appliance now, is eligible for a tax credit? So let's say I want to get a new slide-in range, right? Nice one, not super chef, like not a Wolf or Viking or anything, but just like a Samsung or LG. Charlie, how much is that going to run me roughly?
I mean, 500
Call it the higher end.
higher end, 1,200.
Awesome.
1,300.
So, according to the Inflation Act of 2022, I can apply and get a maximum rebate Oh, up to $840.
Rebate, guys.
So
rebate.
So what did that oven really cost me net
$600.
for a high end one?
Yep.
If it's a $500 one, guess what it cost me? Zero. Okay. So now let's talk about wiring.
Energy or gas?
Doesn't matter.
Either
Both?
way.
Electric stove,
Okay.
cooktop, Ranger oven. Probably electric, because gas. I know Colorado's trying to phase it out.
Hey,
But,
take it easy. I have a gas.
Oscar, if
Take
you
it
run
easy.
into a Sylvania panel on a home inspection, what happens?
A lot.
Right?
They're going to want you to swap it out.
What does the seller need to do? They gotta swap it out, right?
Yeah, they got to swap it out.
How much
You got to
does it
get
cost?
anywhere from $3,500 to $4,500.
Awesome. So here's two things, right? Tidbit number one: if you need to swap out the panel, guess what? You actually just have to swap out the connections. You don't have to swap out the panel itself.
Right.
Which-
But they're going to go in there and going to look at the mass. They're going to look at a
But
bunch
my,
of stuff.
my point is, and this is, we're going to bring her on because she has some great information.
Who's her?
Her name is, Rhiannon. She runs an electrical certification company.
Rhiannon?
Yeah, Rhiannon.
Yep.
But she made that point. She goes, a lot of
Rihanna?
people will come in and think you have to replace the entire panel, which could be a $2,000 to $3,000 job. Realistically, it's just the connections and the connector. As long as the rest of the wiring's fine, you don't have to actually redo the entire panel. That's about half the cost.
I have a real life story, and I got the invoice to show you.
Right. So
Not
my,
lying.
My point is that is good for both buyers and sellers as a point of contention, negotiation, whatever you want to call it.
Ooh, can we have her on, my boy Pete?
Sure.
He owns he's an electrician.
Well,
Owns
they
his own
both
company.
are.
Versus.
Anyway, yeah.
Well,
we'll
no,
do a
I
fucking Mortal
think they'd
Kombat
have a
fight.
good,
But no,
a
she's
good-
got
a
some
good
great info.
conversation.
So that's point number one. But point number two, if you do have to replace it, whether it's from the buyer standpoint on an inspection, seller standpoint to sell the house, people go, oh my God, I don't want to shell out $2,500, $3,000. Guess what? Your rebate maximum to replace your wiring is $2,500.
Boom.
So it's a net zero cost for the most part.
Now,
Like,
will they give you the
there
rebate
are
if you sell the house?
Yeah.
So
As long as you're the one that did it,
Yep.
cool. There you have it.
that's
And
fine.
again, negotiating points. Like and that's where I think this is a good time to move into the one rock takeaway for today's episode. And if you guys are just tuning in, this is your first episode. Our one rock takeaway is a conclusion from each one of us, kind of just of the topic for today's episode. Just kind of one final thought. We try and keep it kind of short, but sometimes we're a bourbon in. So
I'll go first. Keep it short.
yeah, go for it.
You don't have to be a genius to have a smart home.
Google, call them.
You
That's
don't
a
have to have a
tagline.
smart home to be a genius.
You can be dumb and have a smart home. Is that better?
Yeah.
It's not that hard. There's so many things. Google
Yep.
it.
Yep. Jamie, you want me to go? You want to go?
I can go. So I think overall, you have to understand the climate. No pun intended.
Yeah, thermostat.
But there's so many countries that want to go carbon net zero, and they make all these different what do I want to say, promises of by this year, by this blah 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 blah. The point is they can't do it on their own. So the way they do it, because they can't tell you as a homeowner you have to do this, they do it via incentives and rebates. So my thing is, as a homeowner, prospective home buyer, or home seller, take the time or talk to us to understand what those rebates look like, because they have to incentivize. That is, if I can sum up government in one word in a democracy, it's incentivize. They incentivize these things, and it can save you a ton of money, because for them, it doesn't cost them shit. So they'll give you money to do these things. And at the end of the day, you might be like, oh, I'm anti-government, or I don't want to do this because blah, blah, blah. But if it saves you X amount a month per utility bill, or it allows you to sell your house for tens of thousands of dollars more, it makes sense to take the time to understand how those look, how to implement them, and how to
Stat
kind of
guy.
work. You got to work the system.
If they
right?
go to irs.gov, you think they can't pull up a list
Absolutely.
of stuff?
irs.gov, energy.gov.
If they go to the description of this episode,
Yes.
they can pull up a list of stuff.
the government,
hard.
the government is giving you a system.
Use it.
Play the system.
Play
All
the
right.
game.
Play
My
the game.
one rock takeaway is going to be a combination of both of these. Okay.
So it's like rock slide.
Yeah. In the current, again, we're in an election year. In the current political landscape, I fear that our ideologies and our political positions are blinding us to different elements of life. And the reason that I say that it's a combination of the two is, please, regardless of how you feel about the political position of climate change, eco-friendly solutions, understand that regardless of how you feel about it, there are things set in place that will help you save money. So do not be stupid and stand your ground and die on a hill because you feel a certain way about what a political person is saying. benefit. Use the system.
Everybody
for
likes
yourself.
to save a buck.
Exactly. Use the system for yourself. That's the way that we get by. That's the way that we take it. So please put your stuff aside. Listen to what we said in this episode. Reach out to other folks that are talking about eco-friendly solutions. Apply yourself to it, and it will save you thousands of dollars.
I like it.
All right.
I like it.
Awesome. All right. That was a good episode. I felt coming
Cheesy.
into this, I felt like it wasn't like it was something that was expandable. You know, it was a smaller topic.
It's always expandable.
It always,
Yeah.
you know. And so now we're gonna move into our bourbon review for today's episode. And again, on today's episode, we are reviewing Old Forester Single Barrel that was handpicked specifically by Chris here at the Rouge to be the barrel choice and the Old Forester Single Barrel for the Rouge. You can only get this barrel, this spirit here at the Rouge.
Any other restaurant, bar, wherever you go, may have the same bottle. This one's picked by him. Flavor notes might be different.
Exactly, and you
Basically
can
what we're
actually
saying.
see if you go back, it's labeled Pindustry, and Pindustry and the Rouge are our partnership. So you can get it here, you can get it at Pindustry, either way. But I'm interested to see what you guys are gonna say.
I wanted to say something during the episode while we were talking and drinking. Did you get a floral note?
Yes.
Kind of like very floral. While you're talking, you sip it, and it was very floral.
Oh, I love Oscar. Man, on point.
Yeah.
Somebody hire this man as a master taster,
just saying,
taste
I'm just-
ambassador, or whatever.
I got something going
The reason
on.
I say that is because, like I said, I didn't divulge the notes at the beginning, and it's interesting that. So I will say this opened phenomenally.
Yes.
Like I still have I still have my original pour. It's been sitting, but the burn is still in the nose. But it's definitely given way to that sweetness. But 100% floral notes came through.
Yep.
And what Chris told me is the reason that he specifically selected this barrel was because he felt that after it sat for a bit, it got notes of like cilantro, mint, more herbal notes that would complement the meat dishes that they have here. So perfect. Spot on, my man. It was
Awesome.
amazing. I love it.
Still got it.
I love it.
Still got it.
I will say that overall, you know, this is the first 100 proof, just straight 100 that we've had in a while. Everything else has been 120 plus the last couple of weeks since we've been back. I will say that going from the Heaven Hill higher proof to this, I think it tainted me a little bit.
Yeah.
Only because I feel like as it sat, it did open up the flavor. It did open up some more flavors, but it almost fell flat.
Well, and again, I wanted to say we've been drinking some higher end stuff, not higher end as price, but higher proof stuff. It just really it got you right.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, a lot. This, although it wasn't that high proofed, it felt like I said a little bit not watered down, but it was a little smoother,
Muted.
not as intense.
Muted is a good word.
Yeah, muted. I think that I
Little
wanted
muted,
to use
yeah.
muted, but
Yeah.
you nailed it. I wanted to say muted. The other stuff was like turned up. This was
Yeah.
a little turned down, but the flavors lingered.
Yes, and I
The
will
alcohol
say,
didn't stay there and burn and get you. It was here, get the floral notes.
Yeah.
Yep, I will say as a sipping, like as a neat sipping bourbon, I'm sitting here talking with somebody at the bar, hanging out. I think it's great because there's not a level that you have to pay attention to the bourbon to enjoy it, like the Heaven Hill, where it's almost as if I'm paying $30 a
Yeah.
pour for this. I want to know I'm getting spice up forward, then it's going to the oak, then it's going to the vanilla, then it's going to the caramel. This one, for me, I feel like you get the ethanol on the nose, you take the sip, spice hits you up front, then you get sweet. There's an evolution, but there's only really two hits.
Your palate's not constantly getting. It's just
Yes.
it's good. You know it's good. You could continue on with what you were doing.
Yes.
Socializing, do whatever.
Yep.
The bourbon's gonna do what it does.
I do think that as a sit and sip bourbon, it's good. And I would just want a little bit more of an evolution of flavor rather
Sure.
than the direct boom spice, boom sweetness for me.
Now, this is the one they sold at the event, right?
Yep.
At the event, and this will mess with your rock rating. $45 for the bottle
$45.
here at the event.
Yeah.
So let that sink in.
Yeah.
It's damn good for $45.
This changes everything.
Right? I wanted to throw it out there because I saw the wheels turning over there.
Well, so the reason my wheels were turning was
and because we don't know what a lot of these bottles are. With the Heaven Hills,
Yeah.
I mean, they provide
we
them for
don't.
us. Thank you, Rouge. But at the event, I know that they were selling them for $45.
Well, so I think we decided the Heaven Hills was right around 150.
Yeah.
Right. And my initial thought, while this is very good, I figured I'll give you my price point that I thought it was going to be at was about 80.
Yeah.
Me too.
Is what I thought.
Yep.
Right. So in my head, I looked at it and went, all right, I think this bottle's 80 retail. So if I'm going to buy a $150 bottle, is the juice worth the squeeze? Realistically, right?
$50 more, right?
Girl Next Door reference. If you guys haven't seen the
Easy,
movie, Elijah
easy.
Cuthbert.
I have seen that movie.
There it is.
I got to admit, I saw that one too.
Yeah. So my point was, my initial thought rather was, it almost justified the price point of the Heaven Hill. Now drinking this at 100 proof versus 121.
Yeah.
Right. That's how I was seeing it. Like, this is good, and we rated the Heaven Hill very, very high. But in the back of my head, I'm like, man, that's really high and it's really expensive. So now that we have
And
this,
sometimes it goes hand in hand, right?
but now that we have this as a control, it reaffirms the ratings that I think we gave
Yeah.
for the Heaven Hill
Absolutely.
at that $150, $180 price point. Because I'm like, the complexities you get out of that bottle and out of the higher proof and for that price point, or the pour, whatever that price point is, I would pay that.
Well,
Absolutely.
and I think something to note too with this bottle is obviously the Heaven Hill. Those were neat. You're gonna drink this neat. Like if you buy that bottle and you put a Coke in it, please just go drive off a bridge. I'm sorry, don't. I will stand firm on that as a former bartender. But
Jeez.
I can't.
I mean,
No,
I
it's,
feel I feel the same, but
can't.
jeez.
But with this one, I think it's a beautiful blend for Pindustry and the Rouge, where
It
you can
is.
come in, you can drink it neat, you can enjoy it, you can put it on a rock if you want, you can drink it neat, or you can have them make it into a phenomenal cocktail. I think that this would be a top tier old fashioned.
This would be definitely a bottle that you could make a good cocktail with. Not just, get the bottom shelf, let's make a cocktail.
Yep.
No, let's make a high-end cocktail. This lent itself well.
This
well,
will-
everybody is all, got their panties in a bunch on, like, finding Buffalo Trace or something, or Eagle Rare,
Yep.
right, at like a bar like Pindustry. But if this was available for around
Oh, yeah.
the same price, I would choose this 10 out of 10 times.
Absolutely.
And I love Buffalo Trace.
Same, but I would
love
choose this
Buffalo
for the same
Trace.
price.
This is better.
Yep.
I'm gonna just say
Yeah.
it.
Yep, I agree.
Complexity, flavor. There's a little bit of a sour note to the Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
This is all sweet,
And then
all
it's that floral. Yeah,
all floral.
I agree.
It's
And I
it's a good. It's almost like a tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you will.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know?
And just and we always talk about like first time bourbon drinkers. I would 100%. If someone's
Oh,
been
absolutely.
tasting bourbon and trying bourbon,
It
I
is
would
100
say,
proof.
Yep.
But is a very good.
Exactly. I would say, hey guys, look, if you want to step up your game and see what a little bit better of a flavor profile and a better bourbon at a higher proof would be, this is where I would guide them.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
So, all right, what are we thinking? I'm interested to see the scores on it.
And I just have to say, you brought up the Heaven Hill. That bourbon is more of a let's sit down. This is a good complex. Let's enjoy this, but really pay attention to what we're drinking.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This, it's good. Let's talk.
I think this is a perfect bourbon for a bar.
Pour and sip.
Like,
Pour
yeah.
and sip and have a good time.
Absolutely.
It's gonna hold itself well. Cocktail.
And
neat.
the price is
Great.
attainable for anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't have
$45.
to feel like you're
You're
not
not
feel like
breaking the
you're like
bank.
out
Yep.
of pocket, like, oh, I had the steak dinner, so I want a really nice, like, you could get away with a nice fillet, right? Drop $50 on a fillet and then have this at $25 for a neat or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and feel good.
I don't even think it's what is it? What
No,
do they have
I don't
in it?
know.
I don't know.
I think
At
it's
45,
somewhere,
it's
yeah.
probably maybe $16,
If that.
pour.
and it's good. I mean,
right?
it
But
is-
I'd
it
feel
is
good
damn
about
good.
it. I would feel better about paying $16 a pour for this than
For
a Buffalo Trace or
Yes.
even a Blanton's.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't get me started on Blanton.
But that's my.
I love Blanton's, but for what it is,
My point
No.
is, if I'm going to pay $16 a pour,
Blanton's only
I
90
would
proof.
take this over a Blanton's with a nice steak dinner. That's
yes,
what I'm saying.
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. All right. Rock ratings, and if you guys first time tuning in, we do our rock rating on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst, because the more rocks you put in a bourbon, the worse the bourbon is. So, who wants to take it first?
I'll do it.
All right.
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 3.5.
Yeah.
That's
All
what I
across
was-
the board.
Yep, across the board. I
If
was
you
thinking,
didn't know it was 45, $45, what would you say?
If I thought it was 80, I was gonna go probably between like a 3.75 and a 4.
And a 4.
But
yeah.
at $45,
yeah, for what it is, the
for what it
flavors that
is,
you
like
get
if
out
I
of
can
it,
pick
yeah.
this up, like I think about it. If I go to a liquor store and I see this,
3 to 3.5. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
look at
it's
this
good.
now that I've tasted both. Like this is 45. Let's just say retail at 45. I know it's a barrel select, so it's a little bit different. But let's just say this was available to purchase at 45, and then I saw a bottle of like Travelers for 39, and then I saw Elijah Craig single barrel at 40, 42. I'd choose this.
I am a
all day
big
long.
Elijah Craig fanatic.
And
I
by the
love
way,
your
none of
product.
those are 100 proof.
This right
So-
here,
Mhm.
hands
Yep.
down, better bourbon.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
It
think
just
3.5 is that's my rating.
I'm a fan of Old Forester,
stuff.
and this for the price.
Yeah.
for
There's
the
a
juice,
reason they
it's a good-
survived Prohibition. There's a reason.
It's a
right?
good freaking
Yeah.
bourbon.
I like it.
Absolutely,
I like it.
absolutely.
Don't let the half or the point more higher that we gave the Heaven Hill fool you. This is a damn good bourbon.
Yeah.
Well, and we're very crowded in that 2 to 3 rock rating
Yeah.
because we have tried a lot of very good
Good
bourbons.
bourbons.
So for a bourbon to be 2.5 and under, it is
Phenomenal.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like it is something we're like, hey, this is.
I still-
Wow.
I will spend money on this.
I hope that we do a rating of a 1.
Absolutely.
we
I
got
hope.
close.
We got close.
We got close.
I hope we get there
We're
and we're like,
close.
this is.
That Heaven Hill was 2 to 2.3. I think.
I want
Right?
I want to
2.3.
drink a bourbon and shed a tear.
And then I think I want to say
Okay.
the
That's- you
Elijah
gotta give it-
Craig.
Well, I'll tell you guys what.
Barrel proof.
I'm going to Scotland in a month, so I'll let you guys know how the
Oh,
the
hey,
whiskey
speaking
tastes out
of-
there.
Are you
'Cause
gonna
this
lick
is-
the Barney Stone or whatever? It's
but hey,
called?
I'm gonna
no,
do
so,
whatever-
so
whatever I
speaking of, and this is
Yeah, it's Kiss the Barney
this is
Stone.
I don't have my phone. It's on topic. So my father-in-law went to Ireland, and you guys have heard of red spot, green spot, yellow spot. Well, apparently there is a purple and a gold spot that you can only get in Ireland and Scotland.
Okay.
So if you find it,
yeah.
you should pick it up. It's not terribly expensive,
Speaking of,
but it is. He's got it on a display case, and I have a picture of it. It's on my
Okay.
phone. But you cannot get it outside of Ireland and Scotland.
Let's do
while
it.
you're out there, look at
Yeah.
spirits because I do know. Speaking of Blanton's, a lot of their like gold and stuff they ship them overseas.
Yep.
So if you could bring one back, I don't know.
I'm excited.
I don't know
I've been
customs,
looking-
so I don't know.
I've been
if-
looking into whiskey tours and stuff.
we don't
for-
need.
so-
You don't need to pull a
Yeah.
Brittany Gardner and
What did we?
Charlie's in jail
just
because
out of-
he's trying to bring spirits into the
Just out of
states.
curiosity, though, what did we? Our highest rated so far has been
Is it
what?
2.2?
right, and that
Yeah.
was that the Elijah Craig Private Barrel Select,
I think so.
right?
There's, there was
That
there was
one
a
and
couple.
then
I know Elijah
Pro-
Craig was one of them,
and the
but there was
Prohibition.
Old Forester Prohibition.
Prohibition.
there was
I
another one
think.
too.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And then
not-
obviously Heaven Hill was.
Yeah.
I rated Heaven Hill as a 2.
it was
Yeah.
good.
Heaven Hill. Was, yeah.
You were a 2.3.
Yeah. Scientifically, that blew my mind. But again, it shows.
No, I think Dexter was one of the high ones too.
Dexter was
yes,
high 2.
Dexter.
Dexter
yes,
was,
yes.
was a high one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
That
I
was
actually
like-
bought that bottle for a camping trip.
Yeah,
shortly
Dexter was
after.
high 2.
Yeah.
So the point is, really good bourbons. It gets very crowded.
Yep.
In that 2 to 3. So like when we're rating things under a 3, you guys know if you're watching, like, hey, what should I drink? The
That
2
right
to
there.
3s are like, do not miss. If you have an opportunity to pick it up,
And then
pick
there
it
was a
up.
brown bag. I threw a Coke in it. So
On that note, guys, as always, please feel free check us out. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, Samsung Podcast, everywhere you can find us. Check us out. Real Estate Served on the Rocks. You can find us every week on Living in Colorado, the Mile High Perspective on YouTube, and we all have our own personal socials that you can reach out to us on. Oscar,
OscarTheRealtor.com, Oscar the Realtor CO.
I am That Lifting Agent or The Lifting Agent, Instagram and TikTok. Charlie Sederle on Facebook,
the Colorado Real Estate Guy on everything, or Jameson Armos on Facebook.
right?
Yep.
And guys, please.
Oscar Ibarra on Facebook.
Yeah.
Guys, do me a favor. If you do like bourbon, please check out Service Through Spirits, an amazing initiative.
Can you link them?
Yeah, I'll put a link in the
So
description
link
for it.
them in the description.
They have amazing. They have a bunch of selections right now, helping so many family service members service member families across the country. It's a phenomenal initiative. So please check them out. But you can always reach out to us and get in contact with us. resotr@themilehighperspective.com or
720-584-3361.
and we can answer texts, phone calls, emails, whatever. Guys, if you want to drink a bourbon with us, come on out to the Rouge. Please, this
Give us
episode's
a heads
gonna
up.
drop.
I'll come out.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Let us know. Send us a comment. Let us know. But definitely check out the Rouge, the event that you see behind us here, the Smoke on Smoke.
Are you coming?
I'm gonna try and make it.
I
You
will
have your reunion.
try. I
Well,
do
you
have
have
I have my reunion, but I'm gonna try to make it.
Yeah.
Let me know because I'll come here.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
have anything
shit,
going
if
on
there's a
Friday
cigar
night,
truck,
so.
If
Yeah.
I go because they're doing another event on
Saturday?
Thursday, I might just do that
Oh,
one
okay.
and then be free
Right.
Friday.
Nice.
So we
Nice.
might
I
be
like
there,
this
but
event.
I think
Come hang out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
come hang out, check us out.
It's a fun event. I mean,
Yep.
honestly, guys, if anything, the view from the patio at Rouge
Yeah.
and then also up at Peninsula, like, it's Colorado.
We'll
You're
do
gonna see
something
it
for our
forever.
social media, so that'll go out fast.
Yep.
We
Yep.
might do a live, and then come check us out. But this, I think this hits home for all three of us. We've all lost a best friend.
Yep.
Literally best friends. It's kind of weird
kind
that
of
we're here.
Sad time, but yeah,
It's sad, and law enforcement is near and dear as also for me. So please check this out.
Yep.
Give it a look at least.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, guys, thank you for joining us
Yep.
on another episode. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Later.